You are not withdrawing because the world is irrational. You're withdrawing because you cannot stop being exhausted by it. And those are not the same thing. The first is a diagnosis. The second is a confession. You have been telling yourself a clean story, that the distance you keep from certain people, from certain conversations, from the specific friction of watching obvious things go unseen by everyone around you, is clarity. Is intelligence operating correctly? Is the natural result of seeing more than the room can hold? It is not. It is the will. And the will does not care how intelligent you are. Schopenhauer spent 50 years being the most precise mind in Europe and the least recognised one. He understood the mechanism that drives human irrationality with more accuracy than anyone alive, and it ran through him too. That is what this video is about, not the world's stupidity, yours. Think about the last time you left a conversation depleted, not a fight, something smaller. Someone made a decision that ignored everything you had just said. Someone defended a position they could not have justified if pressed. Someone nodded and then did the thing you had specifically described as the problem. You felt it. The specific heat that arrives before the correction, or the performance of not correcting. The weight of holding something back. The particular exhaustion of a person who has been the clearest mind in too many rooms for too long. And you have called that exhaustion the cost of intelligence. You have made it part of your identity, the price of seeing clearly, the natural friction between a mind that operates at your level and a world that does not. Schopenhauer would not accept that. He would tell you that the exhaustion is not coming from them. It is coming from the gap between what you expect the world to be and what it is. And that gap, the one you keep returning to, the one you keep trying to close, the one that costs you something every single day, that gap is not the world's problem. It is yours. Every conversation you entered expecting reason to land and watched it fail. You were not suffering from their limitation. You were suffering from your own refusal to accept what Schopenhauer mapped in his 20s and spent the rest of his life proving. The world is not driven by reason. It has never been driven by reason. It is driven by what he called the will, the blind, insatiable, irrational force that runs through every human decision, every argument, every relationship, every system you have ever watched fail to function the way it should. The will does not care about your intelligence. It does not exempt you because you can see it. It runs through you too. The need to be right in a way that is witnessed. The need to correct what does not want to be corrected. The need to keep engaging with a world that has shown you repeatedly it is not going to change. That is not intelligence operating freely. That is the will wearing the face of intelligence. And it is the most expensive thing you own. In 1820, Schopenhauer scheduled his university lectures at the exact same hour as Hegel, deliberately, the most celebrated philosopher in Europe. He was certain the students would recognise the difference between genuine precision and fashionable abstraction. One student came, he never taught again. Here is what that moment is actually about. Schopenhauer had already written the world as will and representation. He had already diagnosed the mechanism. He understood the trap with more clarity than anyone alive, and he walked directly into it. Because understanding the irrational does not protect you from it. The intelligent person who keeps engaging is not above the will. They are its most sophisticated instrument. You know this pattern. You have lived some version of it. The conversation you kept returning to, even after it was clear it was going nowhere. The relationship you kept trying to correct. The environment you stayed in longer than you should have, because some part of you needed to see the recognition arrive. It never did. Not because you were wrong, you were right, because the recognition was never the point. The need for it was, and the need for it is the will, compressed into the language of intelligence, justified by how clearly you can see. But the will, regardless. Schopenhauer understood that the most dangerous trap for an intelligent person is not stupidity surrounding them. It is their own investment in being understood by it. Most people misread Schopenhauer's answer. They read the isolation and call it strategy. They read the detachment and call it a power move. They read the withdrawal and think, this is how you deal with the world without being drained by it. That is still the will talking. The person running a strategy for navigating inferior minds is still running an expectation underneath the strategy. The detachment is performed. The will is compressed, not released. The engagement has simply moved inward, where it accumulates more quietly and costs more slowly. Schopenhauer's actual answer is more demanding than any tactic. He called it the denial of the will, not the suppression of reaction, not the performance of calm, not a psychological framework for managing the people who exhaust you. The genuine release of the expectation that the world's irrationality is something you are responsible for engaging with. The difference is not behavioral, it is fundamental. The person running a strategy still needs something from the room. They need the strategy to work. They need to feel the control that comes from navigating correctly. There is still a transaction. The person who has genuinely arrived where Schopenhauer arrived does not suppress the need to correct. They no longer have it, not because they became cold, not because they stopped caring about truth, because they understood clearly enough that the engagement was never going to produce what they needed from it. And that understanding, real understanding, not the performed version, changes something. The energy that was spent on the world becomes available for the work that does not require the world's participation to be real. The thinking that does not need to be witnessed to matter. The interior life that Schopenhauer identified as the only genuine freedom available to a mind that sees clearly. Not freedom from the world's irrationality. Freedom from the need for it to be otherwise. This is the part nobody tells you. Genuine withdrawal, the kind Schopenhauer is actually describing, is not a power upgrade. It does not make you more formidable. It does not give you an edge in the rooms you walk into. It requires you to give up something you have built your identity around, the specific satisfaction of being right in a way that is seen, the friction that made you feel alive, the identity constructed around being the clearest mind present. Most intelligent people would rather keep engaging. They would rather stay exhausted than face the question underneath the exhaustion. If the world were to finally make sense tomorrow, if everyone around you suddenly became capable of receiving what you can see, would you know what to do with yourself? Or has the friction become the point? Schopenhauer spent 50 years with that question. The academic world ignored him. The ideas that consumed his youth were dismissed or forgotten. He wrote anyway. Not for the recognition, not for the correction, to finally land somewhere. Because the thinking was worth doing regardless of whether the world received it. That is what genuine withdrawal looks like. Not silence, not retreat. The complete uncoupling of the work from the need for the world to validate it. The most dangerous mind is not the one that defeats every argument. It is the one that has stopped needing to. You have been right about most of it. The world is irrational. It was irrational before you arrived. It will be irrational long after you stop engaging with it. Schopenhauer was right too. About almost everything for 50 years. It did not exempt him from the will. It did not stop him from scheduling lectures against Hegel and waiting for students who were never going to come. Understanding the trap does not protect you from it. What changes is something harder than understanding. The genuine release of the expectation that the world's irrationality is your responsibility. That the people around you are a problem you have been assigned to solve. That your intelligence is a debt the world owes you a receipt for. It is not. The world does not owe you the recognition. The conversation does not owe you the landing. The correction does not owe you a witness. You have been paying a price for something you were never going to collect. Schopenhauer stopped paying it. Not because the world improved, not because the recognition finally came, because he understood clearly enough that waiting for it was the only thing still costing him everything. The question is not whether the world makes sense. You already know that answer. The question is what you are going to do with the energy you have been spending on it. If this is the kind of thinking you want more of, subscribe. This channel goes deeper than most are willing to go. See you in the next descent.